If the ultimate goal in junior tennis is to see your son or daughter play at the collegiate level, you cannot afford to miss this episode. Today, I'm sitting down with Jordan Oberbillig, assistant tennis coach at LeTourneau University, and we are pulling back the curtain on the recruiting process. First, Jordan reveals the one crucial trait they look for in every single recruit, something that never shows up on the stat sheet, but is so important it makes them choose a lower ranked player over a higher ranked one. We're also breaking down exactly how a college coach's mind works, including the exact type of email that gets a reply versus the one that gets deleted in 3 seconds. The sideline move that parents can make at a tennis match that quietly destroys their kids' chances on a college roster. And what information you can provide a coach that gets straight to the heart of the matter, that gives them the information they need to either move you to the next step or give you the quick no so you are sitting in the dark waiting to find out where things stand. Stay right here for the coach's unfiltered perspective on exactly what to do and what not to do to get to the college recruitment radar. Let's get into it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today we've got Jordan Oberbillig from LeTourneau University, assistant coach over there. Jordan, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Joel, for having me. I'm really excited to be on and talk more about our program and the recruiting process behind the scenes.
I appreciate it. I've run into each other at tournaments over the last year and a half or so, and it's always fun watching you scout these kids because it's an interesting process. So, I'll just jump into it if you're good with that.
Sounds great.
All right. So let's start with where does every family get stuck? I mean, where is the most common thing where, these kids get stuck, the parents get stuck, and when you're looking for players, like, what is it? Where is their mistake that you're looking for and they don't really understand it? They don't see.
I think the biggest mistake that parents make and players make is thinking that we're just going to come after their son or daughter in the recruiting process. I think they have to be proactive themselves. When June 15th hit this year, Rising Juniors, I think I've heard a lot of parents and coaches say, "Well, they're just going to come after me. I'm going to go to the program that best fits my son or daughter." And whatever highest level reaches out to me, I'm just gonna go to them, right? And that's not how it always works. Coaches are always on the road. They're working camps in the summer. They're super busy, even though we're in our off-season period right now. We're still busy doing things behind the scenes, and so I think players and parents make that biggest mistake of, oh, we're just gonna come after them. It's a mutual interest on both sides and a joint partnership at the end of the day of them being proactive and us being proactive on both sides. And so I think that's the biggest mistake. I think now, especially with the rise of social media, I think there's so many ways that parents and players can get connected through tennis recruiting sites like Tennis Recruiting Network, NCSA, y'all site upcoming. There's so many platforms that we use, and it's not just a one size fit all.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. These kids ask all the time, and you guys have the perspective we don't. So this is great because we can help get these parents to understand and get the players to understand what you guys are looking for as coaches. So let me ask probably the first and most obvious question: when should a player or parent start reaching out to you? When is it too early? When is it? Yeah, I'm interested, but we'll come back in maybe a year. Like, when is the right time?
I think everybody's timeline is a little bit different on how coaches are so proactive in how they're recruiting their class. Some coaches are trying to really fill a roster. Maybe they're starting a brand new program at the university. So that's a different timeline than somebody that has an established program like ours, where we're looking for 3 to 4 players in every recruiting class. And so it just depends. Rising, I would say going in your junior year in the summer, in June or July, getting on the coach's radar and saying, hey, I'm really interested in your program because of this is why I'm interested in your program. I think that's really huge. And then figuring out what schools best fit them, maybe 10 to 15 schools, make a list, and then going into second semester of junior year, figuring out when's the best time to visit with that coach and in the program at the university, and then narrowing it down as they go into their senior year and having a solidified top 5.
I gotcha. So I was talking to a mom and a girl that had just finished her sophomore year in high school. It was actually late in the afternoon on June 15th. They both kept looking at the watch. Oh my gosh, we haven't heard from this coach. And today's the day that he can officially contact us. I could see the anxiety. They were really wringing their hands over this. What's your take on that?
My take is coaches are busy. June 15th is a big time for coaches making those first initial contacts when it's allowed. And so they have to be proactive themselves as well. They can't just wait on that phone to ring or that text to come through, or the email to come through. I think someone's making a mistake, whether they're a 4-star girl or a 5-star guy, that thinking, oh, well, like the best D1s, A&M or TCU or Baylor are going to reach out to me. Oh, just because I'm in Texas. That's not how that works. They're looking all over the world to find the best talent and the best fit for their program. And the players that are the most proactive in the process going alongside that going to be the ones that make that roster, no matter how high level talent they are. At the end of the day, there's so many high level players in Texas and around the world that are fighting for those 2 or 3 spots on that roster that they're trying to bring in.
Right.
So if you're waiting and thinking, oh, they're just going to reach out to me, that's not how that works. And so you have to be proactive. They have to be proactive and go after it themselves and market themselves in the right way.
So that's a great lead into the next question. When they contact you, what's the first thing they should send? Is it call you? Is it email you? If it's email, what do you want in there? Is it some pictures, highlight reel, link to their metrics page? What should they send you just to, again, if it's early on, just to get on your radar for 2 years from now?
Yeah, I think sending an email is great. Really giving a brief snapshot on who they are as a player, their name, first and last name. Don't send me an email with just your first name and your where you're like, "Gee, I'm John from Allen, Texas," and then you a few other things, but it's just very random and unprofessional. That's going to get deleted
Mhm.
right away. Probably. We have so many emails that come through, especially in the summer, rising juniors, and so trying to sort through those and figure out who are the right fits, who was professional in the process, and so on the email, first and last name, GPA, SAT, ACT score, their major, especially. What are they wanting to major in? If we don't have their major, why would I, waste their time, or why would they waste my time on trying to figuring that out? And then also understanding is what their budget is as well. Realistically, what is their budget, especially for an international player? That can be tough sometimes with the exchange rate. So figuring out early on in the process, I don't want to waste their time or my time if we know we can't meet that number. Well, let's be honest with each other and help you find the right fit for the program. So.
From a player's perspective, it's kind of like sales. In my opinion, these parents, they spend all this money for private lessons and drills and tournaments and everything. And, it's almost like product development, and their child's the product. And now they get to college and you guys are the customer, the college coaches. So basically, sales 101, you got to make 20 phone calls to get 5 appointments, close one deal. So in that case, we're talking about reaching out to the college coaches. I mean, what's a number I mean, it's just the ballpark, but what should they reach out for? Like, is it 10 emails, 20? Just, I mean, they want to see some traction, right? So,
Yeah, and so I think that's great. What's the ideal number for a player to figure out I said making a list of maybe 30 to 40 schools. And I always say don't limit yourself geographically. I think that's the biggest mistake players and parents make is, oh, it's right next to my house or it's so many states away. Don't limit geography because if it's the right fit academically, athletically, and for campus life for your student athlete, girl or guy doesn't matter. That's where they should go. And so it shouldn't be based on geography and things like that. And so figuring out the 30 to 40 schools I should contact, but don't just send a spam email because we can read right through that. Figuring personalized of why you would make a great fit for our program and why you're interested in LeTourneau or whatever school you're emailing and figuring out those 30 to 40 schools. And then once you get maybe 10 emails back, then that's your 10 schools, right? You've kind of narrowed it down for yourself and figuring out that's where I want to go next. And then getting on a phone call with them is the next step, definitely. Setting up a phone call and giving the coach a few times that you can talk throughout the week. Don't just say, I would love to talk this week. Well, that's very general. Say, I can talk on Tuesday from 3 to 4 p.m. or Wednesday or Thursday and give specific times in your time zone. And that helps us coaches out so much because then I can look at my calendar and say, oh, I'm free that time. That'd be great. And then I just email them right back and say, let's do that time. That works great for both of us. And so I think it makes it simple on their end, but makes it very simple on our end. And it makes me remember them for sure.
yeah, that's great. These kids, they send you the email, they got their link to their highlight reel. In that highlight reel, is there something that in the first 10 seconds that makes you keep watching versus I'm done with this, I'm shutting it off, right? Next, is there something there that you're looking for?
Most definitely. I think I always look for other camera angle. If it's where I can't see the other end of the court where the ball's landing, I'm turning the video off. Like there's no point. I mean, everybody looks like a 10 or 11 UTR when you're getting hand fed balls and you're only showing your side of the court, right? But I have no idea that ball could be hitting the back fence from all we know. And so wanting to see the whole court and how their movement and how their opponent's playing too, who they're hitting, if they're playing a live ball point, how's that opponent, where are they hitting it at? So just seeing the full court length. And also I think one of the biggest things I look for is movement within the video, like how are they moving, their technique, and how they, I don't want to see them winning every single point, hitting a winner, right? I want to see them losing a point here or there, actually building a point within match play video. And so, and I want to hear the live audio of them on them on the court. I don't want some like random music in the background. I want to hear the actual, how they're reacting to a point, hearing what they're saying to themselves. Like that's really important to us.
Mhm. So on the videos, would you rather see shorter, chopped up videos where here's one drill and maybe it's 2 minutes, right? Rather than a long 10-minute video and you guys kind of have to sort through it to get to the different things you want to see?
Yeah, I think definitely slicing the video into sections, like, doing maybe forehands and backhands and some volleys, then serves, just, forehands and backhands in a section, then volleys in a section, and overheads in a section, and then serve and returns in a section, and then match play at the end. I think the ideal video is probably anywhere from 5 minutes to 7 minutes. Because if it's shorter than 5 minutes, I mean, if it's like a 1 minute video and it's only a few highlights clips, I mean, I'm not really getting to see the whole, what I'm looking for. And if it's longer than 7 to 8 minutes, I'd have just gone in person and to watch the match, right? And so
Right.
getting to see that short amount of time, but right amount of time to see what I'm looking for, and as far as the movement goes and the point production and things like that.
I had a coach tell me that he would love to see video of a player when they don't know they're being recorded. That way they get here's the honest reaction to losing a point or the honest reaction to winning a point. And how important is that mental game to you guys when you look at it from a coaching perspective?
I think it's so important. I think the mental side of tennis makes up 70 to 80%, especially in college athletics, when you have all these talented players on the court. And what's the difference, right? In a deuce point, or and if the team scores 3-all and it's down to your match, what's the biggest difference? The mental toughness, right? You know it's going to come down to you. How are you going to handle that pressure when everybody's watching you, your teammates on the other court right over from you, all watching, anxiously waiting to see what's going to happen? I think that mental toughness is key, right? And so when I go, if it's video, if you're being recorded, you're going to act perfect. Or I always joke, if I go to a showcase, everybody's going to act perfect at a showcase, right? Because they all know 30, 40 coaches are there. They're going to be on their best behavior the whole time. Or if I go to a local USGA tournament and people don't, an L5, like they don't know I'm coming, and I just show up and watch and, don't introduce myself before the match and wait till after the match to introduce myself. That way I know how they're truly going to act against a really tough opponent, and watching in between the points, how they respond, and they're in between point routine. Are they using a towel? Are they using an object to help them refocus and recenter back into certain things? And how are they treating their parents? You see them yelling at their parent, during the match, and the parents going at them. That's not ideal at all. And so that'll definitely get you
Right.
marked off the list quickly.
Yeah, I get it. The interaction with parents, it's tough because in junior tournaments, you're not supposed to be interacting with your parents, right? There's no, you got one short 3 minute period and that's it. So, yeah, that's always an interesting one that I see. Uh, So recording that video when the player doesn't know, I mean, right, everyone wants to put the best foot forward. I get it, but it seems like maybe revealing that, all right, this is how he reacted. It might not have been great, but to me, it kind of seems like if you see that and it's the honest, oh, you get an idea of, can I work with this? Can I not? I mean, am I off base there?
No, I think you're totally on point saying that seeing real footage that's raw and that's unedited and that's they don't know that you're recording, you really see the true person, what's coming out. Well, maybe they're not going to win every point right in that point place segment, but seeing how they truly react to building points when there's no camera on them. And I think it takes off a little bit of the pressure too, in a way, because if they know you're recording, they're going to be tense, but they're actually going to play their true game when they don't know you're recording. They're just going to be free and just, if they're playing a match, there's still pressure to that match or that there's points, but it's a different kind of pressure than knowing, oh, I'm a college coach is going to be watching this film later on. I have to do this, and this. No, just play your true game and let your true actions speak louder than words a lot of times, especially in the videos. And so understanding that we'll get to see the real raw footage is so important to us.
Yeah, I get it. So let me shift gears. When a player contacts you as a coach and maybe their ratings or WTN or the UTR is not really up to snuff in terms of what you guys are looking for, but maybe it's close. I mean, what kind of answer should they hope to get back is it hey, keep working, you're close, call me back in 6 months? What would be the ideal answer for them to motivate them to really grind out and get that number where it's, hey, now I really want to talk to this player?
Yeah, so I think the players that are really close, because I think, UTR and WTN have really changed the landscape of things in tennis, especially in high school and going into college tennis. And so seeing where people stack up, I think that's always, what's the player's goal? I think I always ask this too, is the player's goal to be the number one guy or girl on the college team? Is that their goal eventually? Or is their goal to be in the middle of the road somewhere on a team or be at the end of a lineup, maybe fighting for that line six spot? Or is it to really be at the bottom of a roster and trying just to make it on that roster, right? And figuring out can they truly do it? And so that's always my first question: is what are they looking for as far as their goals when it comes to college tennis and where they want to be on a roster? I think that's the number one question I ask if they're really close to us or right in our range. I think another thing that's really key is I always tell players, don't be result driven, because if you're just chasing that UTR number or WTN number, it's going to fail you every single time because there's going to be so much pressure attached to it. You already have enough pressure going to play that UTR USTA tournament or the high school tournament. There's enough pressure added to that. You don't need to add an additional pressure of I have to beat this person because their UTR is X or their WTN is this number. Don't attach that to yourself because then you become even more of a mental barrier for the player and the parents. It becomes so stressful and you take it home with you. I always tell them to be skill driven, is to work on your skills, to work on your game, really develop your whole game and become an all court player and be comfortable, in using your depth, your pace, and your spin to be able to move forward and look to become an all court player. Because that's what it takes to be a college tennis player, is to be an all court player, not just be one dimensional. Because not always the best players win in college. It's the players with the more ways to win.
So when you see those players that have the WTN or UTR, this they're not quite there, but that match video you see, I mean, how much can that impact your decision as a coach to really want to engage with them and explore an opportunity of them joining your team?
I think the video helps a lot, and seeing them in person, like what their potential can be, and their character. I think if a guy's, I always say this, if a guy's, right there and there's a guy a little bit better than him, but his character is just not there, I'm gonna take the guy that's a little bit lower, but I know his character is high level and his potential is higher and his ceiling's higher because he's coachable, he has a positive attitude and he wants to get, there, and he's gonna positively affect my team, where that guy that might be a little bit higher UTR or WTN. But like let's say the one guy's an 8.5 and the other guy's a 7.7. I'm gonna take the 7.7 all day if he is a hard worker, good character kid, and really is team first, and the other guy doesn't care about the team, just is all in it for himself. And maybe the other guy plays high school tennis at 7.7 and the 8.5 doesn't. Well, that tells me that, or he quit. Let's say he quit high school tennis a year or two into it. That tells me a lot about where they're trying to go and what their goals are. And so, because you can do it all. And I think people that do it all, high school, academy, and USTA, those are the people that really succeed. And so, no matter what your UTR is, right, if you're doing it all, you're going to get your level up there. You might be a late bloomer, a late starter in tennis, and so being able to know that everybody's path is different, but it's about the journey to get there and what it takes to get there.
Ah, that makes so much sense. And it's refreshing to hear that, seeing the character of the players that you guys as the college coaches, guys and gals, I should say, as college coaches, you really look at that. And speaking of sportsmanship, I know you got your sportsmanship athlete of the year award when you were a player in college. Tell me about that. What did that mean to you as a player?
I think sportsmanship is everything. Having a high level of integrity, treating your teammates the right way, and treating your opponents the right way. You can be talented, but if you don't have that sportsmanship behind it and the character, then what are you even in it for, right? You got to respect the game and understand that it meant so much to me in my junior year, winning that award in the conference we were in the ASC, that my coaches and peers thought that of me. I always had the attitude of being humble enough to show respect, but hungry enough to compete at a high level and never let my attitude get in the way of that.
I'm sure in the USTA side, there's the sportsmanship award that players can receive. And I don't think that that's handed out to candy, right? I mean, they're pretty deserved, in my opinion. When I've seen these things handed out, I mean, not a lot. I think I saw at the Texas Slam, there was, I don't know, 12 out of 600 kids that got it, right? And I happen to know one little girl, pretty young. I think she's in the 12U division, but she's gotten 3 of them in the last year from different officials. And I'm kind of wondering, like, if she's got this progression between now and assuming she wants to play collegiate tennis, how much does that play into things? I mean, it's an award, but it's not her skill on the court. But I got to imagine that that's got to have some impact, right?
It definitely has weight. There's definitely weight to that, right? I think when you see somebody's character, especially in the USTA setting, because everybody at USTA, there's no high school coaches around, there's nobody controlling you. It's you and your parents there, and so having that level of sportsmanship and character on the court really determines and drives how we look at players beyond just a number. Because yeah, it's great. I can go watch a USTA tournament, and yeah, there's a bunch of high level guys and girls out there. But if they're all even, what's going to be the differential factor? It's their character every time. And so there's definitely going to be some weight to that, and seeing how she continues to develop and mature in her own game.
I think that's great for these kids to hear because again, so many of them like they don't know, and so I've seen some of them. Oh, okay, great. They just toss it in the bag, and you know, I mean, in my opinion, it's something they get this. That means more than whether they won or lost that match because that's something that again, it doesn't get handed out. There's not one in every tournament, and yeah, I think it's a testament to their character. So, well, so the next thing I want to talk about was specifically for the players watching. What should they be doing between points and specifically after a bad call that makes a coach say, there's a flag, or I really like the way they handled that. I mean, bad calls happen, right? It's a
Yeah.
matter of the game. So is there behavior that is okay? All right, I like that, or quietly ends that recruiting process for them.
I think, to answer your first question about between the point routines, like how they handle situations, is do they actually have a between the point routine? What does their process look like? Are they collect? I call it collecting data, especially let's say a doubles event, in USTA. If they're playing with a doubles partner, are they being positive with them? Are they saying, "Hey, next shot," saying, "Oh, dang, I can't believe you just missed that." Like, what's their interaction like with their doubles partner? But in singles, it's a little bit harder sometimes to decipher what they're going through in their mind because they could be quietly thinking about it or thinking about it out loud. They have a towel, they're walking around, going back to the back fence. Like, what's their routine look like? And being ready for that next point. How do they reset and refocus? I think that's huge. And then going to your second question of what will get somebody quietly off our list and how they deal with situations. Maybe it happens once and they say, "Are you sure?" Like real quick, and they say, the opponent's like, "Yeah, I'm sure." And then they let it go. That's great. They moved on pretty quickly and they're not going to let it bother them. But if it happens a few times, they get the ref. And then if the ref's like, "Oh no, it's call," like then no need to overturn it. If they keep going at about it, going on and on about it, then there's no point in me recruiting them because obviously they're just going to think their whole world's cheating them, right? And so that's just not how it is. And so just I always say to my players is hit the ball within 3 feet of where you think it's gonna, where their line call is, and you're not gonna have to worry about it, right? Like make your margins bigger. And that's my advice to juniors is don't hit so close to the line. You don't have to paint the line to win the point. Construct the point well, and then there's no reason they're going to have a chance to call it out.
That makes a lot of sense. So, all right. So, well, what does coachability, if that's even a word, what does coachability for a 15, 16-year-old high school player, USTA, UTR, whatever element they're playing in, what does that look like for that age player? How can they show it to you that they're coachable without them even saying it? I think the behavior is just kind of nested inside of them anyways. But look, if they hear this and maybe that just changes it, hey, terrific. Like we're serving our purpose here. So what does that look like?
I think coachability is being able to take instruction without having to say words and just being able to adapt on the fly, being able to adapt. And that may be a hard word for some people to understand at a 15 to 16-year-old level, playing high school tennis or a USTA UTR tournament. Because like in USTA and UTR, you're not getting coached. It's just you being able to adapt on your own. And so I think it's more like a word to be able to use in the high school sense of things when you do have a high school coach, two coaches out there, like head coach and assistant coach out there coaching in a match, maybe in doubles or singles. And so let's say the coach walks with you on a changeover and tells you, "Oh, you need to change your game plan and do this." And you always look for that positive body language. If the player's slumped over when their coach is talking to them, or no eye contact, or talking back to them, and you can hear it on the sideline, well, that's how you think they're gonna do it at the college level. You think they're just gonna magically change? I mean, they could, but at the same time, I think it's always a product of how they act at a young age, and I think that's going to continue to translate into the college level. So if they're having that positive body language, good eye contact, yes sir, no sir, answer, being firm with the coach, and really listening, truly listening to what they're having to say, I think is so key in the process, especially at the high school level. And also, if they just are super mad and won't even look like the coach is coming over to talk to them and they like shoo their coach off, I think that's a huge red flag. I see that a lot. We're
Hmm.
like, I don't need my coaches coaching. They don't know anything. And I'm like, I mean, your high school coach has won state multiple times. I think you should listen to him or her. And they think, "Oh, I'm too good for them." I'm like, well, then why are you even on the team? So if you're
Yeah,
going to be on the team truly without that purpose, and listen to your peers, listen to your coaching staff, and have that positive body language because it matters and people see it. Coaches see it, parents see it, and so it really matters at the end of the day, beyond just how you play your game.
got it. Got it. So just Jordan, not necessarily Laterno or you as a coach, but just Jordan. If you've got a player that you're coaching, whether it's there for the school or just if you were doing it on your own as a private, something like that, I've always kind of had this thought of, especially high school or college, let the coach advocate for you with the official. And the player can just walk away and let the coach advocate. I mean, what do you think of that?
Like if a bad call is made, you're saying like
Or if maybe it's not a bad call, they just think it was, but right, I mean, rather than be gruff about or argue or go after the other player. You guys as coaches in the collegiate setting, you're there. You
yeah, I'm
guys
there,
are there on
right?
the court.
But
High school too. So like let the coach advocate for you rather than the player.
yeah, I would say ask the coach. A lot of times we're over there watching, and we can see the ball clearly where we're standing. A lot of the times, especially if we're in the middle of at the bench, or so we can see it kind of like where y'all would be standing when you're reffing. And so seeing that, just ask me if it's in or out. I'll tell you the truth. Like, I'm not gonna. And if I think it was a really, really egregious call, of course I'm gonna stand up for my guy or girl on the other side and ask the ref if he's there, or if not, like stand over there for a minute and see if it continues to happen, and then I'll continue to get a ref over there advocate for it. But I think, yeah, letting the coach do that, and you focus, that allows a player to focus on their game and not be thrown off by a bad call or
Mhm.
external conditions that they can't control. Let the coach take care of that. That's part of our job, and making sure that our players are taken care of and that they're able to play in an optimal environment.
So in your recruiting process, I'm jumping around a little bit here, but in your recruiting process, what is the one thing that you would tell parents not to do that net just ruins their chances of them getting an offer or getting scholarship, education, academic assistance? Is there one big thing that jumps out at you that they do? It's like, nah, doesn't matter how good this player is. I don't want to deal with it.
If their parent is like, let's say I go to a USTA event or a high school event, and their parent is bad mouthing about the coach, or like being super outgoing at the match. Like, I've seen parents cut out second players after the match. I don't want any part of that, because at the end of the day, the parent has to be supportive. They can't just be demeaning or egregious towards their player or their son or daughter. They have to support them and encourage them. And yes, I want parent support at our matches. I think that's super key. But at the same time, you have to know your role. Everybody has a role to play when it comes to supporting your student athlete, and that we have a role to play as coaches. Parents have a role to play as well. And so I think the biggest thing that we look for as college coaches, and especially in my recruiting process, is the parents they're in it for the right reasons for their son or daughter, and they are supporting, they're encouraging, and they're helping them make wise decisions. I think when parents come on visits, anywhere, I think the biggest mistake a parent can make is doing all the talking for their son or daughter on that visit or in the recruiting process. I want to hear from the son or daughter what they're wanting. You're not the one coming to college and sitting in a classroom or coming to our practice. They're the ones that have to go through the process, hopefully enjoy the process. And so I want them to have their true opinion made on the player side of things and hear what they truly want, not the parent. Because yes, the parent should be able to help them make a wise decision and should be able to support them in the background, but not be the main character in the process.
I hear you. Well, so last question, and this is really kind of the human nature one. For that athlete that's undersized, overlooked, not on anybody's top of the list player, what would you say to that tennis player, that athlete, that lets them know, keep at it, right? Don't give up. What would you say to them?
Like I said earlier, everybody's journey is a little bit different. Like, how you got started later. And so I would say the biggest advice I give to players and parents in the process is continue to play tournaments, get yourself out there, get on different tennis recruiting websites. Even if you're undersized or maybe not have the UTR number just yet, continue to work hard and be skill driven. Don't be result driven, be skill driven. Because at the end of the day, if you work on all your skills and being able to develop and find that right coach that helps you get there in the process, or maybe it's multiple coaches, maybe you take multiple private lessons from multiple places. I think that's so awesome to be able to get different opinions and different coaching styles that really help you encompass what you're looking to become as a player and as a person. Don't just go to a place that's just in it because they only care about the top players at their academy that are going to go D1 or trying to go pro. Go to an academy that truly cares about the person and the player, and that what drives them as a program.
Well, let me ask you, and I said last question, but I actually do have one more. So what does LeTourneau look for?
So I think every recruit wants to know, what am I looking for and what is Coach Merritt looking for in players? I think I break it down into three simple areas. Obviously, first, I want a team first player. I want somebody who's going to come in here and buy into our culture and buy into our values and expectations and buy into wherever they're at, and knowing that they have value in our program, no matter if they're the number one boy or number one girl on our roster or in the middle, or they're fighting, for one of those last spots. Like, they truly have value in our team, and we're wanting them to enjoy and it to be a rewarding experience while they're here. The second thing that
Mhm.
I look for is I want that mental and physical toughness. I think we talked about earlier how big is mental toughness. It's huge to us, knowing that if it's a 3-all match, it's going to come down to your singles match at the end. Maybe you're line 5 or line 6, or maybe it's line 4 in the conference tournament, right? Figuring out how can you be more mentally tough than your opponent. Maybe a lot of external factors going on, a lot of pressure, but how can you be mentally tough and physically tough, being able to outlast your opponent? You may not be the best player on the court that day, but it's how am I going to make my opponent win the point 3 different times to win 1 point? And so we talk about that a lot, of being mentally and physically tough in the process. And then the last thing that we really look for is we're hungry. We want players that are hungry to improve. We're big on player development at LeTourneau, helping you become all court players. I'm not a coach that's going to completely change your game. I think some coaches try and do that when they get to college, completely change somebody's game, but that destroys the player's confidence, in my opinion, and makes them sometimes question who they are as a person and as a player. And we're a staff that truly believes in player development and helping them become all court players and helping them get better in every area of their game, little by little, and not just trying to completely destruct their game all at one time. And so, really trying to help them and become better humans as well, not just player development and
Mhm.
personal development as well. I think that's a huge part of it in our area of field is making sure that they leave us with a great career and a better person and a better player.
Is there anything else you want to share with the everyone, the viewers about LeTourneau?
I think obviously I'm going into my second year here. The head coach, Suzanne Maris, she's going into her 14th year next year as the head coach, 17th, 16th or 17th year overall. And so our staff is really excited to get into this new season. Second year in the new conference in the SCAC, very competitive conference with 8 other teams in it. And so we're really excited to continue to grow our high level program on both sides. The women came off the second best record ever in program history this past season, and the men finished in the top 6 in the conference last year out of 12 teams. And so really just trying to develop both sides. And it's an exciting time. We're building 2 indoor courts actually on campus. It'll be done here in July. So that'll be a game changer
Nice.
for us when it comes to rain and having indoor practice. And so it's a great time to be a LeTourneau Yellow Jacket, no doubt about it.
Oh, it's very exciting. Well, hey, well, congrats on the new facility. I know that's got to be, yeah, that's gonna be really exciting. That's really, really exciting. I know you're looking forward to that. So,
Yeah.
well, again,
Waiting
sorry, go
to
ahead.
I said anxiously awaiting until those nets get put up on the indoor courts and we can get inside and start using them on a rainy day. $35 million air dome, so it's a huge investment from our donors and the athletic department to be able to really prioritize track and field, tennis, and golf and those 3 sports, being able to use that air dome as a multi-purpose air dome. So we're really excited about it.
No, that's terrific. Congrats. Well, Jordan, hey, really appreciate you coming on. I think this was fantastic. A lot of great information for the players. This is a big time of year for those junior athletes right after June 15th. So a lot of them are probably like, oh my gosh, I need to reach out, or why haven't they called me? So totally get it. But hey, I really appreciate you coming on. Jordan Oberbillig, LeTourneau University assistant tennis coach. Thanks a lot, Jordan. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Joel. Really appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. When players and parents are putting together the highlight video to send to the coaches to get recruited, what are the things you want to see from the good and the bad?
I want to see both good and bad. I think some parents and players make the mistake of only showing good moments within the video. I want to see real raw footage of both good and bad. You hit a good point. How are you celebrating? Are you doing a little fist pump? Are you fist pumping towards the crowd? How's that energy level after? If there's no energy after you win a big point, there's no emotion. I want to see some emotion, some positive energy. And on the negative, on the flip side of things, and when you lose a point, how are you reacting? Is your racket, in your non-dominant hand? Are you having an in-between point routine when you lose, like being able to help you refocus, reset? Are you going to a towel, or are you moping on the sideline to your parent, yelling at them? Like what's it look like? I want to be able to see that real raw footage to know what it looks like when you're playing a point and how you respond on both sides.
Is there a video angle you want to see?
Definitely, the video angle that I think is the best is being able to see the whole court. Some parents and players make the mistake of only showing their side of the court. Well, everybody's going to look like a 10 or an 11 UTR guy when they're just getting hand-fed balls, and you only see what their movement looks like. I want to see where the ball's landing and how their opponents are having to respond to that ball and what the shot is coming back towards them. And so being able to see the whole court is an optimal angle when parents are at tournaments watching their son or daughter play. Maybe being able to shoot some video on the side when there's a smaller side fence, having in landscape mode to be able to see it, and real raw footage. I think that's always incredible to see. Even short clips, just sending it to the coach on text. You've already been in a long conversation with them and saying, hey, it was a great weekend at my tournament. Here's some clips. I think that's great to see kind of how you're constructing points.
Okay. Bottom line, if a parent player watching this had to do 3 things this week to get on your radar, what are those 3 things?
First, I would say is to build a target list of their schools they're interested in, maybe 20 to 30 schools. If they're first starting the process. Figuring out what are the 20, 30 best fits academically, athletically, and campus life. I think you have to be able to fit at least 2 of those 3 to be able to make that school work. Because what if the tennis program got cut? Are you still able to go to school there academically and campus life without the program? I think that's a huge concern that parents and players need to watch out for and really consider in this day and age. I think the second thing that I would say they should do is they should really send out personalized emails to those 20 to 30 schools that they're building that list off of, and send their schedule, either their high school schedule, summer schedule, like local UST or UTR tournaments. Because what if the coaches near them, and maybe they're on vacation or they're on the road recruiting, and they happen to be it makes me want to go to that tournament, right? And watch them in person if I'm able to. And within that personalized email, also send a video, like I said, 5 to 7 minute video, or a really candid moment videos, to be able to see the player in real live raw footage. And the last thing that I would say, and the three things that they should do, is they should continue to develop their game, take lessons, go to an academy in the summer. Don't just take the summer off, really train hard, really develop those skills, and not get caught up in the UTR number or the WTN. Don't be result driven, be skill driven. I think that's a huge game changer for the players and the parents in the process.